Welcome back to the Sports Booth. My name is Luke, and today we are looking into rule changes that are needed in rugby union. I know there's been a lot of talk about this, about what changes have already taken place, about the changes that can still come, tackle height, speeding up the game, more game and time, more ball and play, should I say, during the 80 minutes. And so I've come together with 4 rules I think help the overall product of the game. The first one, I think, is already been implemented as a shot clock. We already know that there's a shot clock now being trialled in Super Rugby. I just think there needs to be more about this shot clock, a visual representation of it. Not just leave this one down to the referee. I like things being left in the referee's hand over the TMOs, but I just think for the shot clock, like the NRL's done, a visual representation, you see the count go on the screen, the audience and I guess the fans at the game and the fans on TV can get behind if a team is going to blow that shot clock. And to me, it just makes a lot more sense rather than sitting there watching, Richie Wong line up a conversion and then just hearing the ref say 10 seconds. Because it's just more edge of the seat stuff for me, I think. Addition of the shot clock, I just want to take it to the next level for, I guess, the commercial value of what it can have. The second rule change that I would be making is around substitutions. Now, there's 2 ways I think you do this. Either you leave it as a 8-man bench and a 23-man team, but you limit the number of substitutions a team can make. So, for example, when we look at football, they could only make 3. Now I think it's 5 substitutions in a game. So, you may have a bench of 10 players, but you can only select 3 players off that bench and at times to make those substitutions. Obviously, the importance around health and the props, I think you leave those 2 props on the bench. So the way I've kind of said this is you either cut it down to 6 players where you've got 2 props, a hooker, another forward reserve, and then 2 back reserves. And then you've got kind of the front row sorted, and then the rest is about, I guess, holding on and deciding who you want and the positions you want. So, like, you wouldn't be able to select a flanker, specific flanker, or a specific lock. It would have to be a mixture of both. Same with the backs. You'd probably select a specialist 9 and then a utility back and so forth. So you take out some of the impact off the bench that, with 8 players coming on and over half the team being substituted. Or you just limit it to 5. Leave it as the 8 players, but they can only make 5 substitutions. And the 2 props, that's just, if you want to substitute a prop, if a prop can play 80 minutes, a prop can play 80 minutes and it's a valuable weapon. So to me, I think there's just some, we can tidy that up. It does, I hate the idea that you've got to add more rules to try and explain the game. Like when you're trying to explain rugby already at the moment, it's so hard to explain to someone. So I like trying to keep rules where it's like, oh, why is that happening? Why is this happening? But I think the substitution one's an easy one. You either go 6 men on the bench and that's how many you can make, or you've got an 8-man bench and you can only make 5 subs. Like that's a simple rule for that. And it's an easy explanation just to make the product better because you're not subbing off half the field. The next one might be slightly controversial because I'm a back, but it's scrum resets. It's the bane of the existence, I guess, of rugby players other than front row type 5 forwards. Now, I love scrums. I think there's definitely a strategical place for scrums. If you've got a dominant scrum, you deserve to be rewarded of it. So I've got no problem with that. It's a reset scrums. In my opinion, if the ref can't decide there and then to make a penalty or decide a penalty on the spot, because he doesn't know who's giving away the penalty, like the scrum goes down, doesn't know who's happened, doesn't know why it's happened, then we just go to a quick tap free kick. And I don't want anything else in the free kick. When it's a short arm, I think short arm should be just a tap now. There's no other option for it. Just to limit the waste of time there. And the free kick goes to the attacking team. So now you'll be asking, like, well, why wouldn't an attacking team just collapse it or, do something wrong? Because the ref can still give a penalty to the other team. It just means that anytime a scrum doesn't go down, it isn't playable. It's just tap restart straight away. And I think that improves that, poor ball and play part of the game, because that's where a good portion of the time gets wasted. Is a scrum takes, about a minute to set and play. If it goes down and we're doing 2 free scrums, it can be 2.5, 3 minutes before you get a scrum off. And it's just such a waste of time and takes away from the strategic analysis of a scrum. If you've got a dominant scrum, it's not going to matter. You're going to go forward every time and the other team's collapsing at penalty. So that was just one for me. I know front row forwards type 5 are probably going to disagree with that one, but I just think the scrum resets need to be improved, and I think speeding up the game with quick taps doesn't hurt anybody. The last one is advantages, and I don't want to, get too into this rugby versus league kind of topic, but I just think our advantages sometimes go for too long. I think, you watch sevens, and I know it's hard to apples and oranges with sevens sometimes, but the advantages, like for a knock-on, I think should be like 2 free passes. A ruck gets formed and the knock-on advantage is over. If you choose, not to play that knock-on advantage, and I think there should be an option for like a player to say, ref will take the scrum, or deliberately knock it on, anything like that to get the advantage, to use the advantage, because you should be afforded with, I think, the option for that advantage. And how that is, I don't know. If it's a signal, the ref calls advantage, Black, do you want to use it? And if he gets a yes response, then we go to the scrum. If not, after 2 free passes, we play on. Penalties, I don't mind if it's a bit longer, 4, 5, 6 phases, but I hate the ones where it's like penalty down in the, attacking end or advantage there, and they use 10 phases going back and forth, don't break the line, and then we go back for the penalty. To me, A, yes, you've been penalised, you've done something wrong, you should be punished for it. But B, if you're just playing to the advantage, you're not really throwing everything at it. I've got no problem if, we go penalty and then 6 phases and it's advantage over or something like that, because then at least in those 6 phases, you're going to use the advantage. You're going to try something. You might try a crossfield kick, this or that, or even if it's 3 phases and we know we're limited to that. To me, advantages just go for too long. And then once we've had this big passage of play, just to go back to a penalty and then take 3 points, again, just a little, downer on the game, in my opinion. Those are 4 rule changes I think if rugby. Those are 4 rule changes that I think if rugby implement, we are right on the right track for the best product out there for rugby union. I don't think. I think a lot of these already rule changes to speed up the game, to keep the ball in play, has shown a better product and a lot more, critical thinking from players and coaches about how to defend, how to attack, and so on. I'm so excited for the World Cup at the end of this year. But yeah, let me know if there's any other rule changes you think are needed, if you think these 4 rule changes are a waste of time, and anything else about rugby union. For now, thank you for joining me. I've been Luke from the Sports Booth. Until next time, goodbye.